In addendum to my main channel video about Black Lives Matter groups extorting people, I wanted to follow up on this story about Minneapolis telling people to basically just give up. You're on your own. And when the criminals come for you, well, there's not much you can do. This advice is common. It's typical. It's not new. I mean, the Minneapolis Police Department, soon to be disbanded, I might add, is giving advice that many cities actually give to people, and I don't like or agree with. We've seemed to have turned into a society that no longer cares about individual responsibility, like self-defense, right? And I think it's obvious when you look at how the left views gun control issues. It's better off that you give up and give in to the criminals than defend yourself. I understand why they feel that way. They don't want people to lose their lives. There have been many stories where shop owners have defended themselves from lethal force from armed robbers, only to have the family of the armed robbers get angry saying, well, you didn't have to kill him. You didn't have to rob the store. Listen, I don't like the idea that someone comes up to you and threatens you and tries to rob you, and then you basically just be like, okay, take all my stuff. I won't do anything to stop you. Because if criminals actually feared that people would fight back, they would be less inclined to engage in crime. But we keep telling people not to protect yourself and to just give up, creating the opportunity for crime. And that's why in certain countries, the U.S. will not negotiate with terrorists. If they kidnap an American, the U.S. says there's only one thing you get: a helicopter commando raid, and we come in and kill everyone in the building except the American citizens. Other countries will give in. Thus, these extremists now know to kidnap non-Americans because that's where the money is at. You see the point? Let's read the story and see exactly what's going on. Breitbart reports Minneapolis Police Department advises residents to give in to criminals. They say the robbery prevention tips were circulated by the department and reported by local ABC affiliate KSTP5. They advise the city is suffering an increase in robberies and carjackings, especially in the 3rd precinct. That's where they burned down the police department. The area of the city in which George Floyd was killed in police custody and rioters destroyed the police headquarters. I wonder why there's no police to prevent the crime from happening and why you now have no choice but to just give up and give the criminals whatever they want. They say others posted the tips on social media. Hennepin County Police and Fire Monitoring said, look, another email on how to be a perfect victim in Minneapolis crime just came out. But wait, Mayor Frey says Minneapolis is a safe, vibrant place. Kyle Hooten says Minneapolis city government tells residents to be ready to give up their phones and wallets and to always cooperate with criminals. Well, I want to pull up the full post, but here's the actual image. They say 100 robberies and 20 carjackings have been reported to the 3rd precinct police in July alone. Downtown and southwest Minneapolis have seen an increase as well. We want those who live and work here to be safe. Here are some robbery prevention tips. Do not walk alone. Sounds like victim shaming to me. What if I want to walk alone? It's not my fault if I get robbed. Be hyper aware of your surroundings at all time. Pay attention. More victim shaming. Carry only items you need and carry less cash. Be prepared to give up your cell phone and purse or wallet. This is my favorite of the bunch, because it implies that even if you're not expecting to get, robbed, have your phone, wallet, purse, keys in hand. Just as you walk, be ready so that when someone comes up to you, say, here you go. Why would you be ready to do so? If someone came up to me and said, give me your stuff, well, me personally, I'd probably say no. But if I was going to, like, if they had a gun or something, I'd say, okay, let me grab my wallet. I wouldn't be prepared, like holding it like, yes, here you are. Me personally, though, I don't know. I find myself to be a bit obstinate and perhaps crazy. I'd probably say no matter what. And I mean that. Now, some people might think I'm just talking tough. Quite literally, I've actually been mugged before, and I just ignore the guy. I'm not going to do it. It's just, I don't know, just me. I'm a bit nihilistic in that regard, I guess. Have keys already in your hand as you approach the car. This is arguably bad advice, especially depending on how you hold your keys, because, well, I'm not going to get into that, but sure. Despite all our efforts, robberies may still occur. Do not argue or fight with the criminal. Do as they say. Your safety is most important. This is true. Your safety is most important. In many circumstances, you're better off giving up whatever you have because you'll get to live. Living is better than, dying over a cell phone or something. However, why does it have to be this way? Has it always been this way? If somebody, like, could you imagine, like Wild West, somebody walking up to him like, give me all your stuff. And everybody was armed back then to varying degrees. I'd imagine people would be like, no, maybe not. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe back then they were like, make sure if a bandit comes, just hand over everything. Be a good witness. When you call 911, be prepared to answer many questions. Okay, listen. They're straight up saying that crime is skyrocketing. It's skyrocketing for one simple reason. It's skyrocketing because the police precinct burned down and there aren't police in the area. Or maybe I'm wrong about that. That's an assumption. But they did burn down the police department, which does strain police resources. Minneapolis released this letter saying, robberies and carjackings have increased in our precinct. Cell phones, purses, and vehicles are being targeted. Some victims have been maced, dragged, assaulted, and some threatened with a gun. Most of these crimes have occurred north of 42nd Street East. What? They're being dragged and assaulted and threatened with guns? Can the people of Minneapolis defend themselves? I know in some places they can't. Carjacking prevention tips. Always be aware of your surrounding. Use tracking devices. Don't leave anything valuable in your car. Memorize your license plate number. Yeah, we get it. This is what happens when you defund the police. Now, why are the police being defunded? You may have seen my 4 p.m. segment. If you didn't, go over to timcast.net. Check it out. Let's talk about it's the media, okay? It's very obvious. Why they're trying to defund the police, I think, is tribal. But I bring you now to how the media persists in the fake news narrative. Did the Seattle police chief tell residents, we cannot enforce the law, you are on your own? And they say, false. Really? The Seattle police never said that. Guess what? It's because someone tweeted, Christopher Rufo tweeted figuratively, kind of just emphasizing a point. What Seattle really said in a letter was that due to constraints on the police force, we cannot come out during a riot. Sorry. They didn't verbatim say we cannot enforce a law, you're on your own, but they may as well have said that. That's the gist of their letter. Snopes rates it false. So what happens is people will see the story, they'll see Snopes that it's false, and they'll walk away. The reality is the story is true. Seattle did tell their residents they couldn't enforce the police, but they didn't use that specific phrase, the paraphrase used by Chris Rufo. They say on Snopes, what's true? On July 24th, Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best wrote to residents that a city ordinance prohibiting police from using crowd control weapons would mean her officers would have no ability to safely intercede to preserve property in the midst of a large violent crowd. What's false? Best did not utter or write the words, okay. We got a serious problem in this country, man. You know what that problem is? It appears that most of the left they have no concept of figurative, alliterative, figurative statements, jokes, nuance, semantics. I don't know. Listen, everything to them is literal, verbatim, period. Trump says a joke and they go, Trump speaks off the cuff and they say, did he literally mean? Maybe it's because their brains lack the ability. Or it could be, and Snopes could be a product of that. Or maybe they're intentionally lying and pretending they don't understand. But I'll tell you what's happening. Seattle said basically the same thing that Minneapolis did, that we're not going to be able to protect you because of the constraints put on us because of the left. Snopes then puts out a story saying, it's not true. No one really said this specific phrase. Donald Trump could say something like, I am a big fan of pepperoni pizza. Then someone will post a quote where it's like, Trump says he likes pizza. And then they'll do fact check, false. Trump never said he liked pizza. And people will be like, oh, but he said he enjoys pizza. You see how they changed the words? Yes, literally, they're not saying this. The point I'm trying to make, when Snopes does things like this, and other outlets do this, they make it so that you continue to support things not in your best interest. Notably, Joe Biden does literally support defunding the police. But wait, Tim, that's fake news. PolitiFact says Joe Biden has pushed back against this. When asked if Joe Biden would support redirecting funds away from police, he said, yes, absolutely. According to the Brookings Institute and many activists, defund the police means not to strip all funding, but to redirect some funding. To which Joe Biden answered, yes, absolutely. What more do you want? Joe Biden didn't say abolish the police. He does support increasing funding in certain areas, but he did agree with the core idea of what defunding the police is. The media then argues semantics to confuse you because they are desperate. Please vote for Biden, our horrifying puppet candidate who can't even stand up, let alone debate or talk straight. That's what they're doing. Journalism has become a political advocacy arm of the Democratic Party for the most part. There's still some good journalism left. Conservative journalism argues conservative points. There's very few conservative outlets. But mainstream press is basically just the Democratic Party as far as I'm concerned. There's a certain story about a certain former U.S. president who is seen on a certain island with certain young people. You get the point. Bill Clinton. Where's the news about this? Nobody. They're not going to do it. Why? Because the New York Times and every other outlet, they're just arms of the Democratic Party as far as I'm concerned. And guess what? Now Snopes will say, do news organizations work for the Democratic Party? False. And they'll say Tim Pool engaging in a strange conspiracy theory. No, it's euphemism. It's hyperbole. The point I'm making is that news organizations just espouse things framed in such a way that often benefits the Democratic Party. Sure. Take that one with you. I got a couple more segments coming up in a few minutes, and I will see you all shortly.